Okay, so I'm going to do another Sorites problem. This one is a little more complicated. It's got 5 premises. And again, we have to reduce the terms first. So the first thing, take your time with this. It's going to look really confusing at first. But again, I like to give myself a few notes here and there just to remind myself of the options with each term. Again, with each of these terms, we're going to have 2 options: obversion and one of either contraposition and conversion. Obversion is a valid immediate inference for any AEIO statements. Conversion is valid in E statements and I statements. And then contraposition we can do validly with A and O statements. So I'm going to do a couple things just to give myself some notes. Identify each of the statements: A, E, 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 a lot of E statements, A. We have all universals. So remind yourself of the options and always use obversion. Abbreviate that with O. And then you can either do contraposition or conversion for each of the statements. A statements, we can do contraposition, so I'll use a T for that. That's just kind of a reminder. E statements, we can use conversion, I'll use V. That way I can remember, okay, what are the 2 things that I can do with this statement to reduce the terms? And the next thing I do is go through the terms, identify which ones we have to reduce. So I'm going to underline R and non-R. So I remember I have to reduce that term. S, non-S, I have to reduce those. Non-V and V, I have to reduce those. Like this one's going to be a doozy. P and T, so there's one term, if we can help it, we're not going to want to change that. Q and non-Q. Non-R we've already got. P and non-P. So it looks like T is the only thing that we want to keep the same if we can. And again, this is one way of reducing the terms. In most cases, there are multiple different ways that you can reduce the terms. So once you have the terms reduced, it may look a little different, but it should be logically equivalent as long as you used your immediate inferences correctly. So if you have another way that you did it that you think is correct, you can just shoot me an email and I'll check it and let you know. But you should end up in the same conclusion if you did it correctly. All right, so let's see. I'll look at my sheet here. So a couple of things first. I always like to start with obversion. If I can change something and because obversion is going to only change your predicate term and keep your subject the same. So let's just start with a couple things here. All V are non-P. Let's try out an obversion there. So carry it over. Your conclusion is always going to stay the same, or stay in the same place. It's the conclusion throughout. So let's do obversion on that. Change the quality, so no instead of all. V stays the same, and we'll complement the predicate. So that turns into no V or P. So let's erase that line. And we got us one step closer. And then since we want to keep T the same, this would be a good option for obversion as well. So we're going to change that to no T quality is going to change. First term is going to stay the same, and then we're going to complement the predicate. So we have no T or S. All right, so we have S is now the same. Okay, so we've done a couple of steps here. Let's do we're going to have to change, let's see. So this one, we're going to have to change the non-Q, keep the P the same. So we can do conversion to get the non-Q over to the predicate side, and then do obversion with that, and that would keep this P the same. So it's going to be, we're going to flip these with conversion, since we can do that with an E statement. So I'm just going to carry it over and do both conversion and obversion. So we would have no P or non-Q. And then that turns into, let's see if there's somewhere I can write this. So I'm just going to write it up here for the moment, just so you can see it. The no P are non-Q. So that's the converse of this. And then I'm going to take this statement and do obversion on it. So the quality is going to switch. So it's going to be all R. P is going to stay the same, and we're going to complement non-Q. So I'll erase those now. So we did both conversion and obversion for that. Let me underline these so that you know what we did. These two we did just obversion. That one we did both conversion and obversion. And Q now is reduced, and we left P the same. So that got us one step closer. This one we can look at now, and it's just this term that we want to reduce, the non-R and R. So we can do obversion on that to change this, just the predicate. So we change the quality. First term stays the same. Complement the predicate, which is R. So now we have R that we're going to want up here. And looks like we only have one more step or one more term that we need to reduce, the non-V and V. We've already got the conclusion set, so we want to keep that the same if we can. So let's see if we can change this some way. Well, we can use obversion and conversion. So this, the non-V, we want to leave the T the same, but the non-V we want to change. So we'll notice that we can convert these. We can just switch the terms, which turns it into no T R non-V. And then from that we can also do a version. So this one we're going to do both. Let's see, what did we do on that one? That one we just did a version. So we've already done conversion with that one up here. And then we're going to obvert it so the quality switches to all R. The first term stays the same, and then we're going to complement the predicate. So we have no TRV. So let's get rid of that. So we did both obversion and conversion on that. And then we should be able to, it doesn't look like we have any more terms to reduce, so we should just be able to leave the top premise the same, all R, RS. Double check. Doesn't look like we have any nons, so we should be good, but just to be sure, R, S, T, V, Q, R we already did, P, Q we already did, T. So, it's like we have all the terms reduced. So, kind of cross that out of our mind. And then we still got to put it into standard form. So we're gonna look at the conclusion here. Identified major term P. Identify the premise with P in it. All P are Q. That's gonna go up at the top. All P are Q. Second term's Q. We use that premise next. All Q are R. We used up the Q. Next term is R. All R are S. We'll use a little space, leave a little space for the conclusion, sub-conclusion of that. RS. Used up the R's. Next term is S. So no TRS, and leave a little space. Used up both of the S's. Last premise should have a T in it, which it does. All P are V. And then we've used up all of the premises. We should be able to bring over the conclusion. We've used up T, so the conclusion should have V in it, which it does. And then the other term is up at the top. So it looks like everything's good. So let's carry over the conclusion here. All right. So we should have it in standard form. We don't have to worry about this anymore. Switch to my red marker. All right. So I've already made the Venn diagrams. We got 5 premises, so we should have 4 Venn diagrams that we're going to do. First one, testing the first 2 premises. Looks like Q is the middle term, used twice. And then we have P and R. All P are Q. Shade out that top left crescent. All Q are R. Shade out the bottom left crescent. Then look at just the top 2 circles. See if there's a conclusion that we can draw from that. And out of the 3 spaces that we're looking at, looks like the crescent on the left side is all filled in. So that's telling us that all P are R. That's going to be our second Venn diagram. Looks like R is used twice. That's going to be our middle term. And then P and S. So all P are R. Shade out the crescent on the top left side. All R are S. Shade out the crescent on the bottom left side. And just like it did in the first one, we've shaded out this entire crescent on the left side. It's telling us that all P are R, are S. We have our third Venn diagram. All P are S, no TRS. S is the middle term. down in the middle, P and T. So we have all PRS. Shade out that top left crescent. Yeah. No TRS. Shade out the football between T and S. Again, we're looking at the top two circles. And either this crescent is shaded out, this football is shaded out, or this crescent is shaded out. We do have one of those. The football in the middle is completely shaded out. So from that, we can deduce that no P or T. So we're going to use that sub-conclusion as our first premise for our last Venn diagram. And looks like T is used twice. T goes in the middle. P and V. And then, so no P or T. Shade out that football right in the middle of P and T. All T or V. For the conclusion, we're concerned with only P and V. So you're just looking at the top two circles. And what the conclusion is asking us is no V or P. And that would be shading in this middle football here. But we only have half of it shaded. So what that has told us is that this Sorites, after all that work, is invalid. If you have any questions, shoot me an email. If you have a different way to reduce the terms, shoot me an email and I can take a look at it.